G'day, mate. How you going? I won't actually do the whole thing in an Australian accent. What's up, everybody? This is Ryan here, and I'm just coming at you with another English lesson. So, a friend of mine was contacted by a customer from Australia, and my friend who currently lives in Thailand wanted me to translate a particular phrase that this Australian individual used. So, I'll just read out part of my friend's comment here. So it went, I had a clock customer from Australia who wrote an email to me saying, "Hey gang." And then my friend A goes on to say, "What does that even mean? He sounds very informal." So what I'd like to say is welcome to the wonder that is the Australian version of the English language. So I'm going to say a couple of things in this video which are definitely generalizations, which aren't true of all Australians. But I have actually met a fair number of Australians living where I live, which is in Canada and BC. We often joke that in hotels and ski resorts and something like that, the Australians have basically taken over. In fact, we have this place called Whistler, British Columbia, and many people jokingly refer it to Wistralia. So I have met a fair number of Australians, but like I say, let's not generalize about every Australian. So a couple things right off the bat. In terms of speech and the speed at which they will be comfortable using very informal terms with you, Australians are probably the most informal group of English speakers that I could really think of. Us Canadians get pretty close, but the way Australians speak is typically, again, not to generalize too much, incredibly informal. So the thing about being very informal is that it can make you a very inviting and sort of happy sort of person if you pull it off correctly. So I'm not actually going to suggest a whole lot of people do this, but what I'll do is I'll just take you through two of the most common greetings I've heard Australians say over the years, and one particular word which you'll hear quite frequently in Australian parlance. I did a bit of research, and some people say that this isn't actually used that much. I have met a lot of Australians that use this quite regularly, so make your own judgment there. Let's just kind of go through it. So first and foremost, one of the most common greetings you will hear in Australian, the Australian accent of English, is of course, "G'day." So "g'day" is just like saying "good day," and if it's sort of like a man-to-man or something like that, it very often will take the form "g'day, mate." I'm not sure if it has to be man-to-man. I don't know the accent that well, but I think typically that's usually what the reference is. So "g'day" is just one of the most common greetings, and then we've got so funny story about this one. The first time I ever heard this greeting, I didn't actually know what it was, and it was from a customer in a store I was working, and so I figured it out after about 10 seconds, but the customer just came in and said, "Hey, g'day, how you going?" And my, Canadian, small town Canadian brain is like, how am I going? What does that mean? And then it kind of clicked, oh, it's like, how are you doing? Or how are you? Or something like that. So Australians kind of have a common version of how are you, or what's up would be like a more North American version. And it sounds like this: "Hey, you going?" It's like the same as saying "how are you," or something like that. Very often you'll hear the word mate used, "G'day, mate." So this is something that you don't really... It has a lot of different meanings in the English language. In the context of common Australian parlance, it's kind of like saying friend, or if you come from where I come from, we'd probably say something like, "Hey, bud," or "buddy," or something like that. "What's up, bud?" Again, that's more Canadian version. But it basically means like friend. "Hey, friend. How's it going, friend?" That kind of thing. I've heard people from my region try to use this the same way that Australians do, and while some people get away with it, it just, hey mate, it just comes off kind of awkward, but I'm just trying to explain what you'll commonly hear in Australian from my experience. Lastly, we have the phrase that was actually said to my friend here, hey gang. I'm not even sure how I would pronounce that. Hi gang, something like that. So, again, gang in English has quite a few different connotations and meanings and things like that. So if you're using it in an informal, friendly setting, a gang is like your group of people. So if I was, let's say, going out at night and I was with a bunch of friends, if we were about to leave or something like that, I might say, all right, gang, let's do this, or something like that. So it means like, all right, my group of people, all right, everyone, might be another way of saying it. So it is most definitely in my region of the world referring to a group of people. I have no way of knowing if this is actually like a common... I don't think this is just a common Australian greeting. I would assume this individual assumed that you're a company of people or something like that. A is the person who wrote the question. So it basically means like, hey everyone. It is super informal. You're very correct about that. And gang can have a lot of different connotations. In more negative connotations, we could be talking like street gangs of LA or something like that. But in this particular case, the way I would read this situation is we've got a fairly typical Australian coming up and saying, hey gang, just, you read the situation very correctly. Probably this individual is just super informal. I've met Australians who literally the first thing out of their mouth is like, "G'day mate, how you going?" And they're just like immediately chatting with you like you've known each other for quite a long time. So I have had experiences like that, and it's pretty funny. So that works fine with me because Canadians were typically quite nice as well. So Canadians and Australians usually get along pretty well. But Australians are the brunt of many jokes, which I won't go into. But part of it has to do with the fact that they're just so incredibly informal and open, typically speaking. So that's basically it. Hopefully that answered the question reasonably well. And if you would like me to break down anything else, hit me up down in the comment section down below. If that video was at least entertaining, please do me a favor and hit the like button down below. And yeah, that's basically it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in another English lesson.